up for the Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for everybody who showed up tonight. If you're watching either on Periscope or on the live stream, thank you for tuning in that way as well. I want to point to a couple of resources on our website, just so you know that there's a place you can go to tonight and after tonight to find some basic information, actually some complex information as well. What we like to do with the state of the school is not focus too much on data dumping. So the next couple of slides are really here just to highlight for you the fact that this stuff is on our website. You can find this really easily. If you have your smartphone, you can pull it out right now and you'll see the exact same thing that I'm showing you on this screen. So I want to point out two data points, not because they're more important than any of the other data points, but because I think they're part of a story that makes a lot of sense about the Malvern Prep that your sons are experiencing today, or if you're an alumnus that you may have experienced recently or that you can know some future friars are experiencing right now. So on this first screen, in the bottom right corner, you can see that number 167. What you probably can't do is read the text. And that number refers to the total number of students who were involved in our global exchange program this past year. That's a significant number. Now, it does include some middle school students, but think about it. Out of about 640 students, almost 170 of them participated in some shape or form in our global exchange program. And because we take really seriously our vision to be a leading independent Catholic school, that necessarily involves bringing into our classrooms a global perspective and a global orientation. And it also means offering students the opportunity to interact with foreign exchange students when they come to Malvern. So students from Panama, from Spain, from other parts of the world as well. But it also means giving our students the opportunity to visit those places if their families are inclined and they're fortunate enough to do that. So I'm really proud of the fact that 167 of our boys have participated in some shape or form in the global exchange program. Again, there's a lot of other numbers here, and I encourage you to visit the website to see what some of those data points are. This is all on one page on the website. All the numbers didn't fit on one screen, so on this second slide you're seeing basically the bottom half of that web page. And the number I want to draw attention to here is far right-hand column in the middle, 130. And actually this number is misleading because it understates what we've done. 130 refers to the number of college reps who have visited our campus this fall. But what it does is it misses the many athletic coaches from colleges who have visited our coaches. It also misses, probably most importantly, the countless phone calls and emails that our college counselors exchange with admissions officers and our college reps at the schools that your sons, or if you're an alumnus, perhaps you attended, but the schools that your sons would like to attend. And Ian Harkness, who's our Director of College Counseling, he knows firsthand, because he came to us out of the admissions office at Gettysburg, he knows firsthand how important the relationship is between an admissions rep or officer and the school that he or she is assigned to. And our college counselors are expert at developing and cultivating those relationships. Oftentimes in those phone calls or those email exchanges, we learn what we can do better, which means that we can help your sons have a better chance of getting into the most selective and best fit school for him and for you guys. So I'm also really proud of that. What I'd like to do now is just tell you three really quick stories about the current state of learning and the future of learning at Malvern, and I think really in the world. So what you see here is a picture. Unfortunately, since we built this slideshow before this afternoon, I picked the wrong team to show you, but it does illustrate the point. So this is a team of students from our social entrepreneurship class. This is the first year that we've offered this. It's the first ever, besides MECO, it's the first ever 100% project-based learning class that we've offered in our upper school. And the short version is we have 4 teams of students of 5 or 6 per team, and each team has a teacher attached to it as a coach, and each of those teams by themselves as students decided what social impact area they wanted to address, and then they've begun to design solutions. And what you see here is a photograph from the mid-December presentation to a panel of CEOs, and you can see the backs of those CEOs' heads here. So these guys in the class had to prepare a presentation on the first phase of their work, their social entrepreneurship work. And they got feedback from the CEO panel. On March 22nd, they're going to go back in front of the same exact CEO panel to present phase 2 of their work. They'll get more feedback, and then they'll go in front of that same panel in the middle of May for their final presentations. This was taken at Villanova University at their Innovation, Creativity, and Entrepreneurship Center. So as I said, I picked the wrong team because the story I want to tell you actually unfolded today in real time. So one of the teams of students, which is not this one, a different team of students went up to New York City with their teacher coach, and they visited Kind Inc., which is the company that makes Kind bars. So if you ever go into Wawa, I'm sure you've seen Kind bars at the counter there, which are healthful snacks. And this team is focused on figuring out a way to help kids in low-income urban environments learn how to identify the right foods to eat, and then to create incentives for them to choose the right foods. So to make a long story short, they came up with a series of steps which involve a website and an app. They've sort of gamified learning how to eat well. They've created a really ingenious set of games. And what they decided was, or what they asked themselves rather, was, well, what if we could get a company that's devoted to healthful eating and acts of kindness in the community and get them to partner with us? So what they did was they reached out to the Kind Corporation, whose president just happens to be a Malvern grad, so sort of greased the skids a little bit there. And they were really interested. And at the same time, this team of students was courting the Vetri Foundation in Philadelphia, which is a foundation that was built out of the Vetri restaurant empire. But they're also committed as a nonprofit to making sure that kids in urban schools have access to healthful foods and learn how to eat well. And so they've brokered this partnership between the Vetri Foundation and Kind Bars Inc. and this team of Malvern Prep students, and we learned today that Kind is drawing up an agreement that will specify the amount of Kind bars that they are going to donate for this initiative to test it out to see if it will work. This was driven 100% by the students. They certainly were coached and guided by their teacher. They were also mentored by a Malvern alumnus who is himself an entrepreneur. They got some great feedback during this mid-December presentation to the CEO panel, but it's a great example of the current state and the future state of learning, which is really about solving problems. And because we're a Catholic school, it's not just about solving any problems, it's about solving problems with a social consciousness. It's about solving problems for the good of society. It's about solving problems that help those who are not as fortunate as we are. So we're really proud of that, and I'm excited about that success for that team of students today. By the way, the other 3 teams in this class are also on the cusp of partnerships. One team is going to partner, we hope, with the 2nd largest charter school in Philadelphia. Another team is going to partner with City Team in Chester, which helps the homeless. And the final team is hoping to partner with someone whose name I can't remember at the moment, but I will come back to that. I also want to talk a little bit about different kinds of partnerships. So Steve Cloding mentioned University of Notre Dame, and he also mentioned the survey that our College Counseling Office sent out to many, many colleges. Part of that came out of a fall one-day workshop that we ran with the University of Notre Dame and their Center for STEM Education. So their director came to our campus, and we used the mod space for the middle school right over here. We brought in some executives from local corporations that have a national, international presence. These are companies like Siemens and other STEM tech companies. And we envisioned what a future of learning could look like in a STEM environment for our students, as well as for students at our all-girls partners with Notre Dame and Villa. that partnership with Notre Dame is not a one-day thing. You know, we're talking with them about other things like a character profile for college admissions. We're talking with Villanova about a partnership to design an online certificate in engineering thinking. We're talking with the University of Delaware about a partnership to provide students with dual enrollment credit so that they can get college credit for their social entrepreneurship class here. And these are just 3 examples out of several different conversations that we're having with higher education partners, again, to provide you with a return on your investment. We know that you guys make a significant financial investment in Malvern, and that's an investment that we know provides a lifetime of dividends, a lifetime of spiritual dividends, a lifetime of learning and academic dividends, but also a lifetime of dividends in entrepreneurship in the broadest possible sense, which just means engaging the world in that problem-solving mode. So that's also really exciting stuff. And then the last story is captured by this photo of Chris Herron. Many of you were here for Chris Herron's talk in October. He was our distinguished speaker for the fall. And if you were here, then you will remember the very powerful story that Chris told about his own very long struggle with addiction, how he came out of that struggle on the right side. And this is a photo of an opportunity that we try to offer our students at every possible turn, which is a small group conversation with an expert. And in this case, these are all captains of our athletics teams. Chris Herron is a former college and NBA basketball player, and so he had a special message for them in a small group setting before his conversation with the broader community in the Duffy Center. And you can see on that blackboard all those little post-it notes. Those post-it notes contained questions that these captains of their athletic teams wanted to ask Chris about leadership, about excellence in athletics, and also about the struggles to resist the temptations to use drugs, alcohol, and other things that are addictive. These are the questions that are among the most urgent questions for your sons, and we're really proud that we were able to bring him, with the generosity, by the way, of members of the parent and the alumni community who sponsored Chris's visit here. So that's another part of the formational experience that we offer.